the dead of cold and ash. Near the whispering plumes of the Ashen Twins lies the ruins of a once magnificent city. Drifts of ashen grey snow wash along streets that were once filled with life many centuries ago. Called Pruinaz by those who came across it, this city remains locked in the cold, pallid claws of time. Under the dreary, overcast sky, all is not still and silent within its walls. Amidst soot-covered towers, shops, mansions and homes, the dead walk. The inhabitants, long perished from a cataclysmic tragedy, eons ago, haltingly move about in parody of life. Clothes and skin encased in pallid dust, many of them go about the tasks they were engaged in before their sudden demise. These sad caricatures of the past are eternally trapped in a cycle of toil and tedium. Venturing further into the sprawling metropolis, where the buildings are more grandiose, this is not the case. The elites and aristocracy, while still moving with a stiffened gait, clearly have more of a will. Though much time has passed since they drew breath, they still plot and scheme to further their power and ambitions. All of these courtly machinations are permitted under the all-pervading gaze of Tornasus, the king entombed. Though called Pruinazi by the local inhabitants, the dead of the sprawling ruin of Pruinaz have been given another name, the Ashen Cold. These poor, unfortunate souls are trapped in the physical world by the horror of their ash-crusted bodies and the indomitable will of the king entombed. When not moving about in the doomed cycle of the past, they have been seen falling under the sway of those of stronger will, becoming chattel. Many of the more willful of the dead of Pruinaz can be found among the city's once affluent, though there have been exceptions. Once in a while, an Ashen Cold's mind can reawaken from their fugue state, coming to the realization of their plight. This can result in Ashen Cold rampaging through the streets, venting their rage and confusion on whatever is within reach. When this fury has played out, the wakened Ashen Cold will come to terms with its situation. If their will is strong enough, the awakened may strive to make those around them into chattel and grow their own influence. Others will seek out their kin and loved ones to shepherd them to places on the outskirts of the city, hoping they too will awaken. Fewer still leave the city, seeking either a cure for their condition or final release from their cursed form. Beyond the common rabble of the city are the expansive manses and grand estates of Pruinazi's upper echelon. Within ancient walls, whispered secrets haunt dusty hallways. Amidst elegant gardens full of corrupted foliage and trees bearing glowing fruit, the undead affluent plot. During the city's peak, there were many wealthy and noble families that gained their power either through royal favor, political maneuvering, or monetary influence. However, attainment of this lofty status was oftentimes not enough. Luxury and wealth did not guarantee a peaceful life. These families would engage in subterfuge, bribery, and even assassination to further their ambitions. In the game of power, alliances were born, factions formed, and treachery became the rule of the day. After the pyroclastic embrace and the power of the Ashen Cold curse claimed the city, many wealthy families were lost. As the centuries passed, the new dynamic of dominance began to hold sway. Where once power was gained through fame, wealth, or power, now it is attained through strength of will and number of chattel. Most of the aristocratic houses have now been consolidated into 5 great domains, each vying for supremacy. Contests and disputes arise over territory and chattel as the eternal dance for supremacy carries on. During the late transition period of Kandris, the boy who would become the king entombed was born into a family that ruled a small kingdom for over 3 centuries. As a boy, Tornasus was precocious and affable, with a magnetic charisma that marked him as a king. All throughout his youth and tutelage, he amazed those around him with his understanding of politics, economics, and statecraft. His royal parents were overjoyed at the almost limitless potential of their son and the kingdom's future. Sadly, tragedy occurred while he was scarcely out of his adolescence. A powerful earthquake struck the kingdom, damaging many buildings, even the palace. Once the rumblings subsided, A full third of the land was destroyed. Many tears were shed at the loss of homes and loved ones. Chiefly among them was the young prince. His parents were both crushed under rubble, found in a nearby hallway. Tornasus was weighed down under the terrible realization that his mother and father were taken from him. Fearing chaos and instability, the young man was hastily crowned king. As the people buried their dead and tried to rebuild, the surviving courtiers plotted and positioned, each seeking to gain control over the brilliant but untested new king. Not a small amount of blood was spilled in attempts to secure power in the coming regime. Overcoming his grief and inexperience, Tornasus expertly pitted them against one another. This ensured that no one faction could gain too much influence and pose a threat to his power. Time passed, and the young man became a master of not only his domain, but the inner working of the region, shaping his kingdom into a true political power. The kingdom's influence spread far beyond its borders, and it enjoyed a veritable golden era under Tornasus's rule. This promising time came to an end suddenly, when two of the nearby mountains suddenly erupted. Before anyone could register what happened, a titanic cloud of volcanic ash swept over the entire capital city. Everything, from the furthest outskirts to the royal palace, was claimed by the fury. Unwilling to relinquish the city and kingdom he had sacrificed for, Tornasus's unyielding will and spirit clung to the mortal world and all he considered his, from the smallest blade of grass to the grandest estate. Centuries passed until the planet finally rested from its traveling. Now, with the strange forces that course through the land, the dead of the city, now called Pruinaz, are walking, forever bound by the baleful edict of their king. Although given a wide berth by the nearby communities and settlements, the strange condition of Pruinaz draws the attention of the daring and curious. Many expeditions have set off into the sullen ruin of the city and returned with many artifacts and new knowledge of the area's history. However, it is often the case that some, if not all, of the party are lost in the effort. Those that survive the trip may be wounded in one way or another. Regardless of the results, the local inhabitants will avoid these explorers at all cost. This custom is stringently enforced, as the people here have learned a hard lesson. Any who enter and leave the city may soon return to it, permanently. The curse of Ashencold, or the Ashencold curse, is a slow and deadly malediction. Any physical contact with either the residents, buildings, or anything within Pruinaz's environs has a high chance of inflicting this curse. Those afflicted will begin growing patches of light grey ash on various places on their body. Over time, as more ash patches will appear, the victim will begin moving in a stiffened manner. If left untreated, the afflicted will die within a few days. Sometime after their death, unless the body is cremated, the victim will resurrect as undead. Whatever clothing and goods were buried with them will appear rotted or crusted in ashes, regardless of passage of time. The newly risen Ashencold will begin marching wordlessly and unerringly towards the city of Pruinaz, adding to its population. Known for its psychotropic properties, ghost fire fruit is highly prized by the Pruinazi elites and greatly sought after by those not native to the cursed city. Eating the fruit can help open the mind to fantastic visions and new pathways of thought. There's also a slim chance the fruit's juice can enhance the powers of the one drinking it. For the awakened Ashencold, this effect can help to unlock memories from the past. The potent remembrances of days long gone oftentimes reveals new insights and can strengthen the will from outside influence. As such, they are reticent to part with even a slice of this fruit, and will only do so if there is something given of equal or greater value. Even among the elite of Pruinaz, there are those who have a greater sway over the political landscape of the Ashencold. Through a mix of good fortune, skill, and force of will, the Glavdruma family have amassed a near monopoly on ghostfire and its distribution. Since the fruit is highly prized for its effects, this family has maneuvered itself into a position of preeminence among the other great holdings. Subtly pulling the strings on the tangled web of power is Orunum Glavdruma, patriarch of the family before the disaster that claimed the city. One of the first to awaken, his innate ruthlessness and guile quickly secured dominance within the new paradigm. As the city's power broker, the Glavdruma have acquired a majority claim on its resources. and made Orinem first among equals within the 5 great holdings. Shrouded in perpetual mists of enigma, the Ensteuth are travelers in darker, lesser-known paths within the world mind. Deep in the caverns of their holding, they conduct their unknowable rituals far from the prying eyes of their contemporaries. Possessor of an immense subterranean lake made from the waters of Zolfrans, they are the second most prominent group in the power struggles within the city of Pruinaz. Most mysterious of all is the holding's leader, the Eye of Ensteuth. Clad in a voluminous robe of the deepest lavender, the Eye's true identity is one of the most guarded secrets in the city. There is only speculation as to how or when this shadowy figure came to power, but none can deny it is one not to be trifled with. In the pursuit of their unfathomable goals, the Ensteuth have even sent up a trade network with the greater world, where they exchange bottles of Zolfrans for rare and powerful items, or even slaves for their bizarre experiments. This practice grows their knowledge and with it, their power. Although few in actual member numbers, the Buffycock command the largest standing army of all the great holdings. Through the use of their peculiar ability known as marrow molding, where the bone itself is shaped like clay, they craft almost everything they need. With the multitude of corpses buried among the many funerary mounds the holding controls, they have a nigh infinite supply of material, whereby they can practice their macabre craftsmanship. Hidden away in a vast labyrinth of tombs, tunnels, and catacombs resides the power for this grotesque manufactory. Cradled in a bone-strewn cavern atop a dais made of the finest scrimshaw is the Chorus Melancholia, a twisted amalgamation of several fanged mouths. Forever wailing, howling, and mourning some tragedy lost to history, it mindlessly molds and reforms the various skeletal remains in its lair. These can be either eldritch tools, fell weaponry, and even unholy mockeries of life. Before the time of the Curse of Ashencold, Zix was a gifted and brilliant artificer. Many would come from far and wide to marvel at his mechanical genius. His awe-inspiring inventions were his greatest joy, and he enjoyed sharing them with those around him. A bright future was all but guaranteed for this young tinkerer. However, such a thing did not occur. After awakening into his new state of undeath and seeing the ruin of his once beautiful city, Zix's mind had changed. His genius, once a wellspring of innovation and creativity, now concocted twisted and macabre things. The sprawling complex of buildings in the city's industrial sector has become known as Zix's workshop. From here, he toils endlessly on his newest passion, imbuing objects with soul energy. This new art called soulcrafting has grown and expanded thanks to his many apprentices. Knowledge is the most powerful asset an individual can attain. Lives are shaped by it, whole kingdoms rise and fall because of it. None value it more than the members of the vainglorious cloister, a secretive cabal of awakened Ashencold scholars that have hoarded Pruinaz's many tomes of magic, history, and other lore from its distant past. Even though they are prone to pore over dusty scrolls, these academics are far from weak. In the constant hunt for any recovered piece of wisdom or artifact found within the city's ruins, they have gained potent abilities. While not a tightly knit group with a strict hierarchical structure, they do respect fervent, insightful research and scholarship. Drelia, one of their brightest, often represents the collective in matters requiring the holding's presence. Known for their stoic vigilance, the men that guarded King Tornasus in life were the very symbol of courage, strength, and fidelity. As the king conducted the business of the kingdom, these stalwart men upheld their oath to ensuring his safety. No threat was too large or small, and they were willing to give their lives happily in the line of duty. So great was their commitment that when the volcanic ashen tide swept through the city, they remained at their post, determined to protect their lord even in death. These valiant souls remain to this day, even though their bodies have crumbled to ash. Their vibrant spirits animate suits of corroded armor as the OMI-verse sentinels. Each one a nigh unstoppable juggernaut, they are protectors of the king entombed and his throne room. This concludes the tale of Pruinaz so far. Judging from what you've heard, would you like to hear more about the city and its inhabitants? If you like, please contribute ideas to expand on the lore of the ancient home of the Ashencold.